What I just talked about previously, I will admit, is very difficult for most. We are conditioned as a society by mediocrity. And unfortunately, what most people do does not work. So one of the keys to success, one of the keys to moving to a new place, to developing an extraordinary life or an extraordinary business, is we must abandon the status quo. Now, listen to these facts. Based on an insurance study that was done a number of years ago, it was in California, at the age of 65, here's what they found. Only 1% retired wealthy, 4% financially independent, 5% were still working, 36% were dead, and 54% were dead broke at the age of 65. Now think about that, living in the richest society in the world. These people had probably worked from, say, 25 years old to 65 years old, worked for 40 years of their life. And at the end, we've only got 1% wealthy, 4% financially independent. We've got 5% that still need to work. We've got 36% that have passed on, they're dead, and 54% are dead broke and they have to rely on pensions or assistance from their family so they can survive. Now, I would say to you, that is sad. So in other words, what most people do does not work. Listen to this fact. 2 out of 3 people in North America will suffer from heart disease in their life. Now imagine that. You're sitting there with 2 other people, and 2 of the 3 of you are going to suffer from heart disease. Now, is this something we need to suffer from? Absolutely not. But it is something that 2 out of 3 people will suffer from because what most people do does not work. Now listen to this fact. 1 out of 3 people in the world today suffer from cancer. 1 out of 3 suffer from cancer. So again, if you're sitting there with 2 people, you know that 1 of you in the lifetime is going to suffer from cancer. Do we have to suffer from cancer? No, very much of it is lifestyle, environment, the things we eat, the stress that we're under. But 1 out of 3 will suffer from cancer. See, what most people do does not work. This is all mediocrity. Listen to this fact. Today, 55% of women and 63% of men are overweight. Do we have to be? No. But we are. Over half of our society is overweight. What most people do does not work. Listen to this one. Over 50% of marriages end in divorce. The number today, they say, is about 57% of marriages end in divorce and 60% of second marriages end in divorce. Now, what's that all about? Unbelievable. Now, should some people get divorced? Of course they should. But I look at it and say, I bet you if we maintained a better relationship, if we spent more face time together, if we went on a date nights on a regular basis, it wouldn't be 57%. So again, what most people do does not work. Listen to this one. The average couple living together today spends an average of 12 minutes per day talking to each other. 12 minutes per day. And then we wonder why our divorce rate is so high, but I know exactly what you're thinking. 12 minutes? What do they talk about for that long? I'd need a script for that. Just kidding you, but you know where I'm going with this. The average parent today spends 40 minutes per week playing with their children. Now listen to this one. The average North American spends 40% of their free time in front of the television. 40%. That represents 12% of their life. By the age of 65 years old, that is the equivalent of 8 years spent in front of a television. 8 years of their life spent in front of a television. And then listen to this. In the households today, do you realize we have more televisions than children? The average household today has 2.7 televisions and only 2.5 children. Less children, more televisions. Interesting, isn't it? Anyway, what I'm trying to say to you is one of the challenges that we have is we're conditioned by mediocrity. See, most people don't have the income they would like. Most people don't have the relationships that they would like. Most people don't have the free time that they would like. Most people are dealing with stress every day. Most people don't have the fulfillment and the peacefulness they would like in their life. And if most people don't, then as a society, we're conditioned by mediocrity. So there's more people with scarcity. So what we need to do is we need to start hanging around with people or getting to know people that are producing the results that we want to produce in our lives. To go to new heights, we must abandon the status quo. We will never reach non-traditional levels of success, fulfillment, and satisfaction if we keep reverting back to traditional ways of achieving it. Because as I said, what most people do just doesn't work. A number of years ago, I read a story, and it said that legal immigrants that move to North America are 4 times more likely to succeed than people that are born in North America. And I found that really interesting. And I thought to myself, how could this be true? Imagine a new immigrant comes over to the United States, they arrive in Canada, whatever the case is. And they arrive here quite often with very, very little. You know the stories of them showing up with $50 or $500 in their pocket. In a lot of cases, they can't even speak the language. They quite often move into a little basement apartment somewhere. Maybe it's a husband and a wife, and they're going to go out and they're going to make a start. So what do? They pick up the newspaper and they see all the classified ads, right? And they start circling them all these jobs. And they're so excited because they can't believe there's columns and columns and columns and columns of jobs. They're blown away. Then what they do is they start writing letters, sending in resumes. They go out and knock on doors and say, give me a chance, I'll do a good job, I'll do a good job, I'll do a good job. And then finally, somebody takes a chance. And they say, okay, I'm going to hire you. But you know, this is just a trial basis. We're just going to see how you do. So they hire them, and let's say they start work at McDonald's, and they're sweeping the floor. But what they do is they sweep the floor better than anybody else has ever swept the floor. They always arrive early. They always stay late. They want to produce extraordinary results. And they work so hard that the manager's watching, and the manager's going, man, you're doing a good job. You know what I'd like? Can you teach other people to do what it is you do? Well, I'd love to do that. I would love to do that. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make you a shift boss. You're going to be in charge of the shift that you're on, and I'm going to give you the responsibility of managing these other people. Well, this person takes on that responsibility just like they did when they were the sweeper. And I mean, look at these people, and they cheer them on, and they motivate them, and they show them how to do it, and they hold them accountable. And next thing you know, they're becoming more productive. And then the manager sees this. The manager goes, wow, this is amazing. I want to move you into a junior manager position because I want you to manage more people and teach them what it is you're doing. Man, you're always here early. You're always staying late. If your job's finished, you're over helping somebody else. And of course, they do the same thing. They do a terrific job. The people love them. Everybody's productive. Everybody's going home at night feeling good about who they are because they put in a good day's work. And then eventually, guess what? Yes, they're running the whole McDonald's. They move into the general manager of the store. And in the meantime, they've been saving a little bit of money, And then all of a sudden, one day, 10, 15 years later, they've saved up enough. And what do? They buy their own McDonald's. And now they go out there and they build that McDonald's based on the same philosophies that they did when they started sweeping the floor and when they were a shift boss and when they became a junior manager and then on to a general manager. And then they build this incredible McDonald's. It's one of the highest volume McDonald's in the whole organization. And then people look at them and they go, boy, they sure seem lucky. How did they do that? Well, what it was work. It was bringing value to the marketplace. And because they brought so much value to the marketplace has started to reward them because people want good people. People need good people to build a business. And if you think about it, the rest of us that are maybe born here in North America sometimes, what we do? We wake up, maybe looking for a job, and we can be looking at exactly the same ads that new immigrant was looking at. We're looking at exactly the same columns. And you know what we're doing? We're reading the ads and we're thinking to ourselves, boy, it's hard to find a really good job. None of them seem to pay very, very well. And you know what the difference is? The difference is outlook. See, one person is looking and sees tremendous opportunity. They see what's available for them. No matter what you're doing right now, there's tremendous opportunity. There's always opportunity.